welcome everybody this afternoon to the Publishing Indie Comics panel. Today we've got in-house, we've got Antoine Ghost Mitchell, we've got Kevin McQuarn, and via the Zoom room, we've got Jason Reeves with 133 Art. So let's go ahead and just introduce yourselves and tell the audience a little bit about yourselves. We'll start with Antoine.
All right, greetings and love, everybody. Can y'all hear me good? Can y'all understand me? Awesome. Yes. My name is Antoine Ghost Mitchell. I am a visual artist and a comic book creator. I'm gonna just say first and foremost, I'm here to learn as well. I live in Baton Rouge. I'm a resident of Louisiana all my life, and I enjoy creating.
Okay, yeah. All right. I always love creating, and that's what I get to do every day. So I'm very lucky.
Jason.
Oh yeah. Jason Reeves of 133 Art and Black Indie Comics Distro. I'm an illustrator as well. Been a comic fan and a superhero fan for most of my life, and I make comics. Publish, print, distribute comics.
Awesome.
So basically, in your own words, what is an indie publisher and how do you identify with that term? If you do.
Me first?
Let's just do a round robin. We'll go Antoine, Kevin, Jason.
Well, this is actually my first foray into independent publishing. I created this Afro fantasy comic book, Sankofa's Embrace. It actually was a 19-year in the making process, and we finally pushed it out in 2019. But one of the reasons why it took so long is just knowledge of how to publish it and how was I going to publish it. Was I going to go through the regular big three like the Marvel, the DCs, and the Images? But of course, with Marvel and DC, you don't own your property. But with Image is a creator-owned company. That's how they were formed. So I had a lot of that in my head, but as life goes on, I get older, I had to figure out how was I going to do this. So me personally, I just started creating my own and, got all my rights and stuff straight, and then just start pushing it out myself. So we are the company, and we don't do printing or anything, but we are the company. That's pretty much my answer.
For me, I'm in the same boat, I guess. Like I started out as an indie publisher because I couldn't get on anywhere else because I was a writer. So I wanted to get my ideas out. I've always wanted to get my ideas out. So the best thing for me to do is to find an artist and start doing it with an artist. And that just kind of grew. So before I knew it, we had a bunch of people in-house. But then the current model is more like a self-publishing model. And as far as like indie, I like it because you can set your niche and you can target your own audience. You don't have to do like a mainstream audience because that may not be the person or the people that like your product. So you have a niche audience. So being an independent publisher or being an independent like comic or a self-published comic, you really get to tailor your message to your audience. And like some of the bigger ones like Image and Dark Horse, they have an independent flair to them because there's a lot of other not mainstream titles. Mm-hmm. But for me, I like to own my own stuff. Like I love having my own characters and my own titles to work with. So the easiest thing for me to do was just to start my own, and now just to self-publish the current comic book that we're working on, or the graphic novel that we're working on. So, and I hope I answered your question. I'm sorry.
No, definitely. Okay. Hey, it's gonna go in multiple directions, so it's cool. Jason.
Yeah, nah, I mean, all the only difference, the thing that makes an indie publisher or a small press publisher independent is that we're not part of like large conglomerates,
Yeah.
or more multinational corporations or anything like that. It's just our annual sales and our reach is below sort of a mainstream threshold. So that's the only thing that separates us really from other publishers. Content wise, we can do the same exact things as any other publisher. The cool thing though about indie is that we can take those risks and do like things that the mainstream wouldn't do, or promote things or create things that the mainstream just doesn't can't have a handle on, because our niche audiences are sort of directing us to create these different things, instead of like, it's like a Pixar movie, has to reach all these different demographics. So there's a sort of homogenization that comes there, or like a Marvel comic and what have you. But like with 133 Art or with any of our indie titles, we can reach smaller audiences. So that's the only thing that really separates us: capital and reach,
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely capital and reach.
I was just about to go into that. So,
Yeah.
what would be barriers that are like the biggest difference that you guys have? You are able to be more free, but what kind of what are the hard parts about being an Indian publisher in your words?
For me, distribution.
Yes.
I think that's the major thing, because like my man was saying up there, he pretty much hit the nail on the head. That about the only things that separate us. With me, it's distribution. We are doing like the explanation I give about St. Cophas Embrace is, when I say we are the company, me and my wife Queen, that's it. I do the job of like 5 or 6 different people. And that's just a creative process. Like I'm the creator, the writer, the penciler, the colorist, and the letterer. My wife Queen does the editing. But outside of that, we're the ones also doing the packaging. We're packaging it up in bags and boards, making sure the packages are secure, making sure the addresses are correct, putting proper stuff on our website to make sure to tell people you're responsible for your own address, getting in the car, driving it to the post office. The only thing that we don't do is the printing. And with the printing, we also make sure it looks very professional, that you'll look at our product and can and think that, wow, they're part of some conglomerate or something, or, they got theirs professionally printed, which we did. But the biggest obstacle is distribution, which affects, I know with me, the pricing of the book. Because when I started off, I was thinking of it in terms of as a person who goes to the comic book store every Wednesday and thinking about what I would spend on comic books. And then I was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna make it $5. But I don't have Marvel and DC and even Image now distribution in order to have that lower. So when you buy an issue, you're also paying for the gas that we go to to mail it, the process, the boards that I have to buy, all that comes into play. And when we broke that down before I put out the first issue, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to have it that price. But when I get distribution, the price of the book can probably be lower, because they'll be doing all that leg work, sending it out to different, different comic book stores, if it gets in their preview magazines and things like that. So with me, it's trial and error. And I do look forward to the day where they wouldn't have to worry about my pricing and they can go to any comic book store and get it, So as I said before, I'm still learning.
So I agree. It is distribution wholeheartedly, and also marketing, because distribution, you have to figure out where your product's going to go, and if you need to get it in comic book stores or if it's strictly digital. And that's where we went with ours, because once we did printing costs, like our graphic novel is 134 pages, full page spreads. So that's expensive to print. And at the beginning of it, we didn't realize, we just didn't realize, we didn't add all that up. We thought, oh, this was a great way to present our book. It was something new, and we had envisioned it being digital, but we didn't go through all the individual steps to do that properly. So once we got our book and we realized how much it is to print, I was like, wait, how much? Like, no, we can't do it. So we went strictly digital, and the full page spreads were actually made to look great digitally. But even then, Amazon they take a certain amount for downloads. So if your book is a certain like size, it costs more to actually have them downloaded, which you don't realize because that's not something we even thought about at the very beginning of it all. So like that first graphic novel was a learning experience. And even in marketing, just to get people to know about your book and get it out there in the public eye, that costs money, or either money or time. If you have a whole lot of money, then that's great. If you have a whole lot of time, that's great. If you don't have a lot of either, well, you're struggling along the way to try to get people to know about your book and all the kind of stuff that you do. So those are the kind of hurdles that we had. But yeah, you go.
Same hurdles, man. Same exact thing. Um, I'm of a mind where it's like, if it doesn't exist, create it. Like I'm always trying to figure out, trying to crack those nuts. And when I hit a wall, my second attempt is to like make that thing. When it comes to distribution, let me tell y'all, it's always going to be your job to get those books into those stores and to get to those festivals and that kind of thing, even if you have a big distributor. So Diamond Distributors is the biggest comic book publishing distribution service. And even when you have the sort of load that Diamond is going to take off you still have to sell those books. Like those stores are gonna buy those books depending on them seeing your ads, which is a big deal as far as Diamond goes. Those ads are expensive. So if you got the small ad in the back of Diamond, it's still a hurdle because you want to get the word out to those comic shops or and bookstores and what have you. So you always gonna have that on your back, regardless if you have a distributor, right? So what I did, Diamond was rough for me. So I was like, I got with a couple of my peers and we created big distro to try to alleviate some of that stress. But even running a distribution service, I still gotta, what I'm saying? Me and the homies still have to talk to comic shops and bookstores. And we try to go black as hard as possible as the first thing, because everything we do is like black comics, black characters, that kind of thing. So we definitely want to talk to black bookstores first. We definitely want to talk to black comic shops first and that sort of thing. Not that we're exclusionary or anything, but you got to go where you celebrate it first. So even in that vein, we're still constantly talking and selling and trying to make deals, right? As far as printing goes, with us, we kind of took a tally of what was going on at the time, and we started publishing in 2012. And printing was such a hard nut to crack because it was expensive. Like it was super expensive to print. Like now, if you print volume in China or in Canada, you can get your books, but getting it overseas is super expensive. So we were like, man, I don't want to pay $1,200 to get 600-700 books and then have to ship it for like more than half that price. That's kind of crazy. So my wife and
Yeah.
I, we also run 133 Art together. We were like, we're gonna buy a printer. And it on the front end, obviously there's costs, right? I want to say we spent maybe off the top of my head, maybe like 2-3 G's up front. But we got HP laser printer, and we got a saddle stitch machine, run you on Amazon about $150, at least back in that day, and and a paper cutter and a paper folder. That's the paper folder was a bigger cost. That was like maybe $600 to $1,200. And we printed the books ourselves, and there was a lot of sweating in the garage, figuring out how to make comics, because there's not a lot of information online or otherwise about how you actually produce the books, and that was a hurdle for us. But yeah, upfront 2-3K, and we've been printing our own books ever since. We've upgraded machines since and whatnot, but yeah, those are the nuts. Marketing and promotion.
Yeah, marketing.
We mostly do that stuff online. And I always say, if there's a marketing firm, or, if you're a marketing student somewhere and you put together a street team or whatever, and y'all want to make some money, come holler at indie publishers.
Yeah.
Like, real talk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would drop dollars on a marketing firm that could get my
Absolutely.
sales going up. You know what I'm saying? And I think
Yes.
marketing students really need to, like, take just kind of dip their toes into it and figure that out, because we are looking for that service. That's a service that I don't know much about, but I'm like, yo, come holler at us. Let's do something together. So yeah, no, same nuts to crack at every level.
Man, I wish I would have thought about buying a printer though. God, that would have saved me so much heartache and trouble. That was a great idea, man. God.
That was my wife's idea. She was like, let's buy a printer. I'll look for one on.
Very smart.
Yeah, that is extremely smart.
I want to piggyback off of both of them. With him about the digital versus print. I get asked all the time, like, and I know because we're in such a technological world now, why don't you do digital versions of your comic book? And I need more information on that. But my reasoning that I give them, other than I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist, for me, it's so easy for people to screenshot an image on the phone. It's so easy for people to screenshot an image on the computer. And, and I've heard of, digital platforms getting hacked, So unless I got that digital infrastructure that could protect my work from being stolen and read for free on some website, I strictly do physical. And I do look forward to the day where I can actually do digital just completely, because that would cut off those printing costs. And what my man was saying right here, I love what he said about the marketing students. Indie pub, especially right now, if you look at a lot of, I know we all watch streaming services, your Netflixes, your Hulus, a lot of the comic book stuff that's coming to these platforms, with the exception of like the Disney Plus stuff, a lot of it comes from independent publishing, independent comic books. A lot of the stuff that you wouldn't even know that they were comic books unless somebody told you that it was from a comic book. Because like my man was saying here, with independent comics, and like my man on the screen was saying, with independent comics, you can do so many different type of stories that your big publishers like Marvel and DC probably wouldn't allow. But you can do so many independent comics, that I think a marketing student, it would probably be good for them and the publisher or independent creator to have a type of symbiotic relationship.
And I actually thought the same thing as far as like digital comics, as far as like I was worried about people stealing them. But like if you really wanted our stuff, you scan it in. You know what I mean? You go through the trouble of doing those kind of things. And I think as comic book enthusiasts, we don't always want to just put it all out there.
Mm-hmm.
We like to read stuff. I mean, we're our own little niche. It's kind of like movies too. Like those who are going to steal are going to steal.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going to copy that movie off of Netflix, you'll find a way to copy it off of Netflix. So the same thing with like digital. If you want that comic, you'll find a way to get it. But at the same time, there's so many of us out there who just enjoy the medium, who love reading the stories and love getting captivated in this, and know that like that's somebody's work. You know what I mean? So like I had to get over that and don't get me wrong, that took a minute. That really took a minute. But once I kind of got over that, you know, it's not a bad way, and it's a cheaper way in some instances to put your book out so people can actually read it. I mean, because that's what we really want. Like,
No,
not all of us,
that
you know, want people to
It's
read and
cheaper
enjoy.
that's
It's
true.
cheaper in all instances, but and I'm a printer, so yeah, it's way cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm of a mind like, yo, at this level that we playing at right now, like there are mad pirates. I've seen my stuff I don't know, maybe like 4 years ago. I saw my stuff on one of my issues on a pirate site, but I looked at the amount of downloads it had, and I was like, that's negligible, right? Like 50 downloads. So what? I mean, I lost $5, maybe $5 per download.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But I don't look at it as a loss. I look at it as interest,
Yeah.
right? 50 other people that may or may not have access to where I'm selling these books wanted to read the book. Okay, fine. But again, at this level we playing at, it's like that saying, if you hold your penny, all you're gonna have is a penny. You know what I'm saying? You gotta let that out, let that go. Yeah, okay. I lost 50 times 5. Fine. I think digital is really good for people playing at our level, and you should definitely look into the digital services like Peep Game Comics and Comixology too, which is basically Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to get your books out there. Now, you may not make a whole bunch of money, but it's good for like exposing other people to your things, right?
Gotcha.
And you definitely want to sell digital on your own site, because while you're doing all the running of marketing and promotions, cheap people especially, that'll come to your site will be like, oh wait, this $2, this $3, let me get this. And don't worry about if somebody is going to take it and put it out there, because trust me, people want the things that they see all the time. They want the Disney stuff, they want the Star Wars stuff, they want the, like my man said, Netflix stuff. So think less about people stealing your work and focus more on getting people to come to whatever hub you choose and get that thing, because that residual money from the digital will help you with the printing, with the physical, right? You need those dollars. Trust me, you need those dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the overhead is like negligible, right?
Right.
Like that's extra money. You basically you leaving money on the table if you're not doing digital as an indie publisher. At least that's my opinion.
Right, because once you do the work, like it's yours, so you can sell it as many times as you can. So there's no other overhead to that. Like you don't have any more printing costs. So like as soon as it's up there, you can you know tell people to go download it all the time. And
absolutely,
there's no more cost to you for that, which is
you
cool.
can change your prices, you can do sales as long as you're in control of the site. You know what I'm saying? Like do that. Please.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I got a question, because y'all giving me a loads of information. So those 2 sites that you mentioned, no, I know about, I've heard of Peep Game Comics and Comixology, but I mean, are those 2 like reputable, you know, sites?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Peep Game focuses on Black and POC content,
Gotcha.
right? They put us up front. And Comixology, again, is Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
Yeah. So their infrastructure is already in place pretty much with Amazon.
Right.
But yeah.
Correct. I mean, they exist. Amazon bought them out. So they existed before Amazon, but now they're Amazon.
But if you sell on Amazon, be careful. And I'm gonna tell you this, be careful of your file sizes. So like, again, like our book was huge, right? So the file size to download that is a lot. So that's cutting into my money. Like every time somebody downloads it, I don't get quite as much. But if they were downloading like a single issue instead of a full graphic novel, I would get a lot more of the chunk of the pie. So just be careful when you're doing it. Don't make your file size too big, and find a way maybe to sell by issue instead of the graphic novel. And then sell the graphic novel, you know, if they want it, absolutely. But I think you'll come out cheaper selling issue by issue. So, because file size.
What was the file size of that book?
I remember it was huge, man. Like we even like got somebody to we got graphic novels or graphic artists and everything to kind of play with it a little bit, but like we were still losing money on it, just because the file size is huge.
I find that if you use InDesign, like Adobe InDesign, and you kind of manipulate that could help with file sizes, because InDesign takes PDFs and it subtracts them.
Yeah,
so I want to check.
We did that. We did that too. It's just, I was like, man,
it's a big old book.
Yeah, it's just huge, man. It just hurt because it's 134 pages, like full page spreads. So you're looking at 268 altogether. Like if we were looking at traditional comic book pages. So it was huge. That was our biggest mistake. So that's why I tell everybody, man, just be careful. Just be careful.
So circling back to print comics, about when you guys make a publication, like how many copies do you make, and how are you getting out there? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but how are you getting out there and getting them to your different niche audiences?
Well, with me, like I said, I'm very grassroots at the moment, but I use the printer that I use is Comics Wellspring. Minimum to order is like 25. So, and it can get priced because I don't choose the cheapest paper. I don't choose the cheapest cover stock. Matter of fact, I choose like the best cover stock, which is like 100-pound weight. And my pages are like 80-pound glossy stock. And I just go from there. Sometimes if I'm getting low, I'll order 25 at a time. And if on a real good time, when I have enough money, I'll order 50 or more. You know, or like when I'm about to, like, part of my marketing is when I'm about to put, like, when I'm ready to put out like the next issue, I'll do like a 10-page preview, or 12 pages is the minimum for them, but like a 12-page preview. And I'll put out that preview, especially like when we had Wizard World before the world shut down. I would sell the preview at Wizard World. I would sell it online, especially from my website. I would sell it online. I would do social media, you know, without bombarding inboxes and everything. I would do social media, Instagram, Facebook, and people would just buy the previews, and that the money from the previews would go toward like getting like printing costs for the actual issue when it comes out. So with me, it's a lot of trial and error. So.
Right. We didn't sell any print, but like some of our early stuff we got printed over at Kablam, and that went pretty good. And just like handouts and stuff we were trying to get, and like just previews of our book, but we just went straight digital.
Fair. Jason?
Our most recent business model is using Kickstarter as a sort of pre-order system. So we got to a good point where, so on social media, online, what have you, we got a pretty nice following. So we'll run a Kickstarter, and whatever those Kickstarter orders are for that particular project, we'll just double that number, right? And then that's what I'll print. And then the second, the other part of that run is for like conventions, shows, comps for the creative teams, and and online sales. So that's what we typically do. So like typically a first run of a 1-3 art book is like 500-600 copies, and then because I can print on demand whatever's necessary for let's say the next quarter or the next round of shows, I can just print that here, and that's usually, maybe like 200 copies or something like that. So
Wow.
our runs are like 500-600.
Awesome.
Dig it.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Inspirational.
It's really not.
So
I want to be in the thousands, yo. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on it, but I think we just need a wider reach, and yeah, like Kickstarter is cool, man. If you could do 3, 4, 5,000 on it per issue, you're doing okay.
So Jason, you've got a collective of writers, right? Correct, with 133 Art, or
we work with various freelancers. We collaborate a lot with other cats in the industry and whatnot. So yeah, we have worked with about 9 writers so far.
so where do you find new ones?
So I'm usually not hunting because I'm friends with a lot of comic dudes. Like a lot.
They find you then.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they find me. So somebody will email me out the blue, 133artpublishing@gmail.com.
Nice.
And if we build a rapport and I like their work, then and there's a budget for whatever we're trying to do, then yeah, it's off top. We'll do that. But a lot of times, and you'll see this in other industries too, especially like Hollywood or whatever, people work with the same people because
Yep.
they like whatever vibe that those other cats are bringing, So I work a lot with a guy named Robert Jeffrey II. He works on a lot of our books, and he's a great indie writer, and we just have a rapport. Greg Anderson Elise, he does his company is Webway Comics, and he does a book called It's Nana the Were Spider. And again, same thing. We have a really good rapport. Alvern Ball worked on all of my early stuff, and it's good. We just create really well together. So, some new people creep in every now and then. But,
So how would you say, about how many titles have you published?
9. So
9.
far.
Dig it.
That's
Working on
amazing.
2 more this year, but 9 so far.
That's a dig it.
So this one's for everybody. Starting with Antoine.
Mhm.
What is your next growth idea? Like, you just got a whole bunch of money. Where are you going for it to grow Sankofa's Embrace?
Say that one more, the last part.
Where are you going with all that money? Like, you get a big chunk of money. Where are you going growth wise next with your project?
That's a good question. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a clear answer for that, other than I just want Sankofa's Embrace to, at this point, to be a successful comic book series. When people experience it, I get it all the time. Man, I can't wait till this. I'd love to see this as a Netflix show. I'd love to see this as a movie. And my response is, I'm flattered, but I really want to see it as a very successful comic book series, because I have a huge story to tell. Money is definitely something that would help, because let's say I got $1 million and something or whatever, or I'm gonna say $1 million. Let's say I got about $3 or $4 million. I'm thinking about the world that we in these days. If I had enough money to quit my quote unquote day job, and even not do so many non-related comic book art commissions, and could just focus squarely on Sankofa's Embrace, that's what I would want to do. I would want to just create for myself, and all these other ideas I have, I know because it's because of time. Time is a friend of me, and that's the biggest thing. Time and money. Time is a friend of me. So if I had the time and the money, I could do so much investing in making poetry creative movement bigger, you know. But I'm learning a lot from these two gentlemen right here. I just got to say that one more time.
Fair, fair. Kevin, what kind of plans for growth are you looking for next?
I've been lucky. The production side of my company, so the video production side has been growing. So we're able to kind of transition some of the ideas that I have from the comic book side. And we have a couple more titles that we're planning, and we have a couple more children's books. But I'm able to kind of transition a lot of that into like the video side of things. So some of these same comic book ideas, we're trying to get them together as animation or TV shows or like movies. So, and we can create that because we have the technology we have the cameras, we have the staff, we have the crew. So we're able to kind of transition some of these ideas into like pitch form in order to pitch them to like bigger companies and like networks and stuff like that. So that's what we're doing next. But I've been very lucky to actually be able to create in that way. So yeah, that's what's next. Just transitioning into more video, creating more comics, and just creating every day, man, because there's nothing like it.
Fair, fair. Jason, what are your next plans for growth? Or if you got a whole bunch of money that just was dropped in front of you, what'd you do with it?
Exactly the same thing. I would love to move into like animation and game design too. That'd be really cool. Even without the money, you know, we're kind of dipping our toes into those things and trying to figure out what best way to move and what IPs to move into. And we're also kind of getting stuff lined up to do some pitches. Like I said, we're prepping 2 titles with 2 new writers. And we just bought some new equipment to streamline the printing process. So that should be really cool. And I would really love, like, we're adding more titles to the distribution service, like pulling in from more creatives, but also I would love to like get a couple people on staff, like to help out with a lot of stuff, because mostly it's just me and my wife Kimmy doing everything. The freelancers work on the creative stuff, but I would like for the day-to-day to maybe have a couple of staff folks. I mean, I have an assistant who helps out immensely, but I think 2 more people, 1 or 2 more people would be dope. Like if I got the money, like if they had that, you know.
Fair, fair.
Mark.
Nothing like cloning yourself, man. If you could clone, man, if we could clone ourselves.
How much money would that take?
Exactly.
So, is everybody on this panel right now is any comic publisher by choice, right? Would we all say by choice?
Well, yeah.
I say with me right now, yeah.
Yeah.
I think with me and me personally, I think it had a lot to do with my age now versus when I started to want to do comic books 25 years ago after picking up my first X-Men comic. And now, you know, I've gotten a lot older and a lot of different other responsibilities. So I figure independent was pretty much the best and maybe safer route to go for me at the moment. Who knows what the future holds, though?
So if a larger publisher wanted to buy you out, or somebody came to you, what would you agree? Would you?
It depends. It depends. Say I hold my particular IP close to my chest, so it would have to be a creator-owned publisher.
So an Image or a Dark Horse, or
Image is a Dark Horse, because I wouldn't sell an idea, not to Marvel or DC. As much as I love those 2 companies, especially Marvel, I've seen what they've done to creations.
That's fair.
So yeah,
Kevin, same question.
Now it's my choice. Back when I first started, man, I wanted to get on. Like I wanted to get with Marvel or DC or Dark Horse or Image, and I was pitching. I'm sending like writing samples and everything to them. And after that didn't work out, I was like, you know what? I can just do it myself. And that's what I did. And now I wouldn't trade it for the world. But if a bigger company came and asked me, it depends on the deal. Like, I love my characters and I think I can do a lot with them. But if you offer me enough money, we'll talk. I mean, it's negotiable.
All comes down to the bottom line.
So, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jason?
Oh, man, I mean, at first, I mean, it was by necessity, right? Same deal, man. I love comic characters. Wanted to do the comics that I knew, and then it was like, yo, ain't a lot of black characters going on mainstream wise. Like, if I can't get in there, let me start something of my own, and it grew out from there. Yeah, man, I'm open to licensing opportunities and stuff, you know, and creator owned opportunities from bigger publishers or bigger entities rather. I'm into it. Not that I would totally sell out, because there are certain IPs that I just need to come out of me. But man, we creating IPs all day, man. That's what we do this for. So you know, Disney, holla at your boy. Like we got working over here, you know. I mean, okay, so if somebody wanted to buy 133 art, same deal. It depends on a few factors. Like, am I still creatively involved? Am I still the boss of content? Right? Like, I still would like to be in charge of the brand in that way. How much are they asking? Like, what do they think I'm worth per se? Like, that kind of thing. But you know,
So it's a balance of your freedom and money.
yeah, like, and do I have to go to your office every day? Because I like working from home, you know? I mean, again, like, opportunities come in all different forms, various shapes and sizes, man. Our latest book, Pac Sampson, The Cookout, Volume 1, go buy that. Just came out. My man Keith from Blurtish has some copies at the table. But anyway, it just came out.
Fantastic bit of distribution right here.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Y'all should holler at Keith too. Just came out, and it was a 133 art production, but also we partnered with Oni Press and Lions Forge, who basically just combined to make one company, and it's distributed by Simon and Schuster, right? Like, I'm open to those kind of collaborations, those kind of things, right? Like, they acquired it, so, and they're selling it. And at first, the Zero issue came out through 133 art, right? And we pitched them, and you know, it went from there. So I'm open to all those possibilities, man. Again, you know, we won't be able, we can't continue to function in a vacuum, right?
Right.
You need to be able to walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. And I'm not saying sell out. I'm just saying sell. Right? Make money so you can keep being you, so you can keep doing the thing you want to do. And if you have to create IP specifically for that purpose, please do so.
I want to I'm sorry, you can go ahead, bro.
And all these connections help too, because like, just knowing him now and knowing him, it's one of those things that now, since you know people are doing the same things or similar things, you can kind of talk with each other. You can kind of help each other. You can kind of guide. So when I need somebody to take my stuff and sell it, or possibly distribute it, I'm gonna reach out. Or when I need someone who can kind of guide me along with printing, you know, now I know, because that was a brilliant idea. I got to tell you, man, I should have bought one a long time ago. But and just like, I've known him for a while, but as far as seeing him different places, but I didn't know his book was coming out now. So we can talk about that. So just like having these connections and knowing the people who do the same things you do, and who are in town especially, are very important. Because as a place, we can kind of grow together. We don't always have to be a competition. We can grow together.
Right.
And I think that's very important.
Very important. So, I got a question, because I know we're about to wrap up.
Well, we're going to run over for a little bit.
Okay.
You say one thing, please share information with each other. Like,
yes,
if you're
absolutely.
doing this thing, don't hold, like, if someone asks you, man, how you did that, man, what's up with this, you know, that kind of thing, please share information, man. For too long in comics in general, it's been like this mystified thing. How do you
Right.
do it? Who gets paid what? Man, share information
Yep.
with your
Yep.
peers. Very important. That's the
Very.
only way we'll learn. In any other industry, if you're a doctor or a nurse or a contractor, those people share information with each other. They
Yep.
know what the pay scale is. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So,
Yeah, that's very
so when they
important.
go for jobs or when they bid, or you know, my wife is in her day job. She's a nurse practitioner. Like they share information with each other so they know what to ask for when it's time to get paid. And I
Mhm.
think in comics in general, we haven't done that historically, and we need to share information with each other.
That's real.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
real.
So we still got a good bit of time, or a decent amount of time. We want some questions from the audience. You guys have any questions for Kevin or Antoine or Jason? Just come on up to the mic.
I was just curious, ballpark, the percentage you thought like digital readers versus book readers, so that if you were going to put something out, you kind of knew where the market was going or where it was limited.
I think he can probably answer that a little bit
Mhm.
better because I haven't sold like print yet.
Wait, what's the question? Give it to me one more time.
I was just asking like percent wise, readers, digital versus, print. And so if you were looking at putting something out, you kind of knew where the market might be trending or where it's limited, something like that.
I'm gonna say for us, our digital sales are less than our physical sales. At least back when we weren't in a plague. We would sell more at shows and face to face than we sell like digitally. So I don't know, off the top of my head, maybe 80-20 kind of deal.
Mhm.
And that's a rough estimate. But yeah, about that. Like going to shows and touching people face to face and smiling at them and stuff, that sells more
Yep.
books right now than
Mhm.
Yeah, and real talk too, because like I still love the way paper feels. So
Mhm.
I love reading comic books old school way. So that was one of the hardest things for us, just to go straight digital, because I'm still a paper guy. Like I love getting the comic books and putting them in the backing boards and putting, taping them down and storing them. I love it. That's still me. But so that was the hardest thing to choose, to go just strictly digital. So,
I'm not a paper file like that. Like I do both. Like I do both. Like I have thousands of books on Comixology, and also when Comixology has a sale, I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, $5 for 200 pages, let's go. So, so I'm like, so I use, back in the day you didn't have digital, so you have thousands of comics you got to lug around when you buy, you get another house or apartment or whatever, you got to lug those things. I'm all for digital. I wish digital sold more. I wish I could say 50-50, but we're not there.
I got a whole closet full of comics, man. I can't get in my closet. So
Closets,
Yeah.
bookshelves, coming
Yeah.
out of everywhere.
yes. Yep.
I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Any more questions, y'all? Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a librarian. So, what are the roles of libraries in publishing indie comics or getting your indie comics out there, aside from the obvious of we're in this room together right now?
What's the question again? I didn't.
What are the roles of libraries? How do libraries, public libraries and stuff, help indie publishers out? How do they do that?
I know. You want to go first, man?
Oh, I was no. You go first this time.
I know for me personally, events like this,
Yes.
that has helped us out tremendously in the past, personally speaking. And also personally speaking, like I come from a traditional art background, paintings, drawings, or what have you. So I'm used to doing like grassroots art exhibitions. And I'm gonna say since 2007, I've been using the libraries to do art exhibits. But when I got more serious about my comic book work, I started doing art exhibits of my comic book concept work at different libraries. Right now, it's actually up at the Jones Creek Library, and it'll be at Carver's Library. Before the world shut down, we had even created an entire tour, which I'm restarting again. But that's a personal way. I try to treat that aspect like I would promote my artwork. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But when it comes to art exhibits, libraries are what I call like an unconventional way to kind of force people to see your work without forcing them. Because they come in, some of them don't have access to a gallery. Some of them don't have access to go to museums. Some of them, depending on the location of the branch, the community, the last thing on their mind is art. But when they step into that library, they're seeing like artwork. It's accessible in such a way. So I started looking at my comic book work, because if you ask me, what's my most important art project? Sankofa's Embrace, my comic book. That's where I get the most happiness from. So I started treating it like I would treat my artwork. So the libraries have helped me a lot, with exhibitions. And with those exhibitions, before the world shut down, those grand opening days, those closing days, selling my book, doing those opening days, putting my information on the wall, visit such and such if you want to buy this issue. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the fact that the libraries are there to do that, I think the libraries to this day is one of the most important entities, especially if you're in the business of promoting and selling books, whether it be novels or graphic novels or comic books.
I can't, like he said it best. I mean, he said it was tremendous. But yeah, I mean, events like this, anytime that a creator gets to meet people who are enjoying their product, it's just a wonderful thing. Like I love to talk to people about like creative things, and to have a place that you can go and actually talk to people who may have read your book or who may like your art or who just want to talk to you about the process. That's invaluable to me. I mean, that's just a wonderful thing. And I think libraries do such a good job at those kind of things, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you very much.
Yes. If I did win a lot of money, I would definitely donate to the library. I'm not lying. I'm serious.
Absolutely.
Sounds good to us.
My question is for you. The difficulties we've had in getting into libraries is about we don't really know the process. We've only heard pieces here and there. So how do librarians order, is it a thing for librarians to order independent comics from indie publishers? Or is there, and this is what I'm told, you guys order from specific distribution services. So if we're not on those services, we can't get into the libraries. Like there's sort of a information gap for us.
That's a good question. Yeah.
It depends on what library you're at. So a lot of libraries, most libraries, hopefully all libraries, have a collection development policy, and that usually guides the way that we purchase and curate our collection. For example, a lot of books that we purchase, we purchase mass amounts for multiple branches, we rely on reviews. We rely heavily on publisher reviews and things like that. So with indie publishing, it's a challenge because we have to kind of bridge that gap between a professionally reviewed book, from Penguin, Random House, things like that. And then here we are with local creators. So we've tried to find ways to bridge those gaps. And really, it kind of just depends on what library system you're at. I cannot answer exactly the process. That is not my role. My role is events. But if you talk, like, we can talk after this to try to figure out how best to do it. But generally, we try to facilitate that to try to work through that collection development policy so that we can, we're curating a collection of local independent authors. And especially, we've been growing our graphic novel collection over the last several years. If you're on the first floor, you can see it's all the way across the front wall near the teen department. It's getting really big, and it's becoming a lot easier for us to open up our options for purchasing those kinds of books. So it really, like I said, it really just depends on the library that you're talking to, Jason. Like, if you're out in LA, it might be a different feel. Some libraries prefer that indie publishers donate a copy so that we can review it before we purchase it, things like that. So there are just little things, and you're right, there is an information gap, and that's something that I think the libraries would do well to just it's just little things that we just have to adjust to figure it out.
Do you guys do floppy comics as well, or does it have to be paperback hardcover format? Like,
we have both.
Okay.
We've got both. So it's been a while since I've bought books for the library, but usually we do go through the big groups because of the whole reviews process that Jessica was talking about. But with whatever library that it is it's the same idea of building that relationship with Kevin and Keith knowing about distribution. It's building that relationship with that collection development librarian who might work up in their own office and might not ever come out of their office, but they do actually buy all the books. So we do have some floppies here, but we mostly have bound books in general, and I think the same is true for most libraries in general.
It's usually about durability. So
Yeah.
these are copies that are being read by multiple people, exchanging multiple hands. It needs to be able to be tossed in the back of a car and multiple times. So usually we go with those kind of bound books just for the practicality of it. And we're trying to find ways to incorporate the individual issues into it. I believe that we started trying to even incorporate a zine collection recently. Before the plague hit, we were trying to do that. We were working with a local artist who has a zine collection, and zines are the ultimate floppy, like so independent and so individually created, but they're not very durable in most aspects. So it's finding ways to figure out how we can manage that kind of collection and share it with our community.
Right. Well, I'm totally open, to talk afterwards about it and see what we can do. But yeah, 133 Art is been dying to get into libraries, and we're just collecting information and trying to figure out the best way to go. With Pac Sampson, that's like that's a widely distributed book, indie wise, but also kind of mainstream. So it's easier. I'm sure it'll be easier to get that in here, but with our floppies and our sort of more indie content, we're definitely interested in trying to figure that out. So cool.
Yeah.
We're totally open.
Well, thank you so much for answering my question and then getting me to talk up here. But thank you. You guys rock.
Thank
You guys are amazing.
Thank you. I have a question for my fellow indie peoples, man. Because we're talking about independent publishing. And I want to ask you guys what inspires you guys to keep going as far as the independent route. Because one of the things that inspires me, I watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Power documentary all the time. And the reason why those guys pretty much came from nothing. I mean, the name of their studios is Mirage Studios. The reason why it's Mirage Studios because it's a studio that didn't exist. It was their kitchen. But the fact that they created an IP that's still popular nowadays from their kitchen, that's what keeps inspiring me. So is there anything that inspires you guys that keeps you going, like at least keeps that independent blood pumping? Like any type of IPs or anything like that?
Man, I'm a visual guy. So like just flipping on Netflix. like and seeing all the different worlds. Like I always love like all these different worlds and all these different stories. Like I love stories. So when I'm watching like a great story, I'm thinking, man, I gotta write, or man, I gotta create, because like I like to create just new things, like or tell great stories. So I think just anything I see or anybody I talk to, or just like leaving here, being surrounded by creative people all day, like for the last few hours, I'm pumped. Like I'm ready to go create something else. I mean, that's just how I work. So so yeah, that's my thing. Like I like being surrounded by like creativity.
Me too. Me too.
And that inspires me.
Same, man. I'm visual too, and yeah, a million things inspire me, like movie trailers and whatever. As far as Ninja Turtles, I like that you mentioned them, because the reason they blew up, not only because the content was dope, but Eastman and Laird had a sort of third partner with them, right? I can't remember the guy's name, but he brought Ninja Turtles everywhere. Like this was their marketing guy. This was the guy that believed in them.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how Ninja Turtles blew up, because he was actively trying to
Relentlessly.
figure out how to relentlessly. That's a great word.
Yeah.
How to get them the deals. So I think in what's inspiring about that to me is the idea that we, people like us, indies, can get like a mouthpiece at our level to say, I believe in this enough that my job for you is gonna be bringing it out there. Like I love, that's inspiring to me. Like
Dig it.
and I watch a lot of documentaries about like the creation of creative businesses. Like I could recommend the Funko documentary on Netflix. That was really dope. Like it kind of informed me about licensing in a way that I didn't know. And you know, anything about the image creators, the big seven,
Yes.
telling it like it was, and how they left and created essentially or revolutionized rather independent comics is a good inspiring thing for creatives in comics to watch. Definitely.
Yeah, please watch that. You can YouTube it. That's the what's that? The Robert Kirkman History of Image Comics.
Yeah.
I saw there's a ton of YouTube videos like about Todd McFarlane and the Big Seven. But yeah, Kirkman's thing is good. And
Milestone too.
Also look up a guy if you know, we're talking about being creative and inspiring, man. Look up these names: John Jennings, Machindo, you know, look up Black Comics Returns, Turtel Only, ONLI. These are guys that are unsung mainstream wise, but these are the guys that are moving in Black indie comics, like for real. So look up MechaCon, Maia Crown Williams. These are the people that are moving and shaking, and moving and shaking for people like us, you know.
And even old school, like Dwayne McDuffie, like he inspired me, man. Dwayne McDuffie and the Milestone guys, like just to see them come out at that time and be relevant and have their own brand before DC bought it, but still, it was great to see. So it was inspiring.
About old school, look up Dawood Anabi. I'm butchering his name. Anabile. Brother Man Comics.
Gotcha. Yo, yeah, I remember.
School came up at the same time around Milestone too. These are Black indies who are like Godfather Black indies. Like how mainstream talks about Stan Lee and those guys. These are the guys for us, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you guys. This has been an amazing hour. So you guys give it up for Kevin, Antoine, and Jason.
Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you, fellas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep in touch, guys. Definitely keep in touch.
Absolutely.
All right. Great.
All right. Thank y'all. All right.